What's up, guys? It's Eric from Rare Candy, and today we have another deck and battle for you guys here on PTCGO. So for this entry, we're going to take a look at another Xerneas BREAK variant, and that's going to be M Gardevoir EX. So if you're a fan of Xerneas BREAK, we've definitely been putting out a lot of content featuring this Pokemon. So we recently did a league challenge that had plenty of Xerneas BREAK coverage, and also we did another deck and battle video, I think maybe like 2 weeks ago now, but it featured Xerneas BREAK and Giratina EX. So if you guys want to take a look at those and you want some more Xerneas BREAK content, I'll be sure to put a link somewhere on the video for you guys to check that out too. But like I said, for this video, we're going to be taking a look at a variant that's centered around M Gardevoir EX. So M Gardevoir has been around for a while now, but it has a couple of new tools that Steam Siege has given us, and we're going to try to retweak it for this new format and see if we can make it into something. So first of all, we have Xerneas. He's going to be one of the key components of this deck. It has the attack Geomancy. A lot of you are probably familiar with this card by now. It's been around for a while. But it has the attack Geomancy, like I said, you choose 2 of your bench Pokemon, and for each of them, you search your deck for a fairy energy and attach to those Pokemon. So in the early turns of the game, this is great because we can start flooding our board with energy, and M Gardevoir and Xerneas BREAK both do more damage for the amount of energy that are on the field. So definitely a key card in the early turns of the game, just to make sure that you have a lot of energy on your field. And we also have Xerneas BREAK here. So Xerneas BREAK gains an extra 20 hit points from evolving, and also a really nice new attack in the form of Life Stream. For 2 fairy energy, you do 20 times the number of energy attached to all of your Pokemon. So this is kind of similar to M Gardevoir, but this is nice because this is a non-EX attacker. So it only gives up 1 prize, but you still have 1-hit KO potential. And it's just a pretty strong card. 150 hit points on a stage 1, which is basically what this is really strong. So just a nice backup attacker. The other key card is going to be Gardevoir and M Gardevoir, of course. So first we're going to talk about the Primal Clash Gardevoir. We're playing 2 of this one. We're favoring it just because I think its attacks are generally more useful in most matchups. So it has the attack Life Leap for 20 damage, and you heal damage equal to the amount that you've done to your opponent. So in most cases, you're just going to heal 20, but it also has the attack Shining Wind for 3 fairy energy, you do 100, and Gardevoir has no weakness on your next turn. So this can actually be kind of useful against Scizor decks, since Mega Scizor is one of this deck's worst matchups. Everything is weak to fairy, they knock you out in 1 hit, so you can kind of tank hits potentially with this Gardevoir EX. And I think it's kind of an auto-loss matchup, to be honest, but this Gardevoir just gives you a little bit more of a chance against Mega Scizor. And also we are going to be playing one of the new Steam Siege Gardevoir EX, and we're doing this just for its attack Link Blast. So for a fairy and colorless, if you and your opponent's active Pokemon have the same amount of energy attached, this attack does 70 more damage. So 100 for potentially 2 energy is really nice. The only thing is it is a little bit situational. Your opponent can play around this attack, so it's not the best. But like I said, there's instances where it can come in handy. So that's why we're going to play one of this card as well. So the start of the deck here is going to be M Gardevoir. He's kind of our main hitter. So that's 210 hit points, which is a little low for a Mega, which is unfortunate. But it has the attack Brilliant Arrow, which kind of makes up for it. So for a fairy and 2 colorless, it does 30 damage times the number of all fairy energy attached to all of your Pokemon. So like I said, Xerneas in the early turns can help accelerate fairy energy onto your board, and M Gardevoir does more damage. So if you have 6 energy on the field, you're doing 180, which knocks out most EXs if they don't have like a Fighting Fury Belt or something like that. But also, it has pretty much an unlimited damage cap, so you can 1-hit knock out even Mega Pokemon as well. So Gardevoir is strong just because it can kind of knock out anything in 1 hit if you have the energy on the field to do so. So he's kind of our main attacker, but we are playing actually one of the other Gardevoir EX from Steam Siege. So this is a new dual type card that we have, and it's a fairy and psychic type, and it has the attack Despair Ray. So for a fairy and colorless, it does 110, but you can discard as many bench Pokemon as you like and do 10 more damage for every bench Pokemon you discard. So why do we want to play this when the other M Gardevoir can just knock out stuff in 1 hit? Well, the biggest reason is for Mega Mewtwo. So Mega Mewtwo has become kind of a popular archetype now that Night March has been rotated. And even though you do have the potential to take one-hit knockouts with the other Mega Gardevoir, you need a lot of energy on your field in order to do so. But with this one, all you need is 2 Fairy Energy attached to this one, and since you're part Psychic type, you can actually just knock out Mega Mewtwo's in one hit. This card single-handedly can actually kind of win you the whole matchup. So I feel like it's too good not to include just for that alone, since Mewtwo does look to be popular. And also, the effect of the attack is really nice as well. So let's say you're in a situation where you don't have enough energy to knock out something in one hit with your Mega Gardevoir or your Xerneas BREAK. Well, you can promote this Mega Gardevoir, attack with it, and discard some of those easy bench sitter prizes that you might not want your opponent to have. So you can discard your Shaymins, you can discard Hoopa, and kind of clean up your board and make sure your opponent doesn't have any easy prizes they can take. Or even if they have damaged one of your Mega Gardevoirs, you can actually just discard it and take that off the field. So the spare rate is a really, really strong attack, and the typing of this card is too good not to include one copy of. So then for the rest of the Pokemon, we just have 2 Shaymin for the ability Setup, draw until you have 6 cards, and then 1 Hoopa EX for the Scoundrel Ring ability. It lets you search your deck for 3 Pokemon EX other than Hoopa, reveal them, put them into your hand. So it's cool because you can grab yourself, maybe on the first turn, 2 Gardevoir and a Shaymin, or you can grab a Mega Gardevoir as well, since you can grab Megas with this ability too. So just a really good card to include in decks that have Mega Pokemon. Okay, moving on to the trainer cards. Starting with the supporters, we have 3 Professor Sycamore, discard your hand, and draw 7. Best supporter in the game, strongest form of draw support we have, so we definitely want a couple copies of this guy. And also we have 3 N, so each player shuffles his or her hand into their deck and draws the equal to the amount of prize cards they had. So this is nice because in the early turns of the game, you have a decent form of shuffle draw, and in the late game, it can be a form of disruption too, to put your opponent at a low hand size if they're in the lead. So we're playing 2 Lysander, switch your opponent's bench Pokemon with one of their active Pokemon. Just an all-around good card, helps you choose what you want to take knockouts on. 1 Hex Maniac, until the end of your opponent's turn, each Pokemon play, hand, and discard pile has no abilities. So if you notice, other than the cards like Koopa and Shaymin that we typically just play on the first turn of the game, nothing in this deck is reliant on abilities whatsoever. So Hex is definitely good, especially against things like Greninja. Greninja can kind of be a bit of a problem, I think. And it's just all around a good card if your deck is not reliant on abilities. So that's why we are playing Hex Maniac. We have 4 versus Seeker, just to reuse all these different supporters that we have in the deck. 4 Ultra Ball, discard 2 cards from your hand, search your deck for a Pokemon. So on the first turn of the game, we can maybe search for a Hoopa, and then grab ourselves a couple Gardevoir and Shaymin, like I said. Just an all-around good search card. 4 Trainers Mail, to look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You choose a trainer card, put in your hand. Just another good general consistency booster. 1 Super Rod to reuse all of our Pokemon and basic energies. If we have to discard some early on with the Sycamore, or if some stuff gets knocked out, we can just shuffle that back into our deck. 4 Max Elixir. Look at the top 6 cards of your deck. You attach a basic energy card you find there to a basic Pokemon on your bench. So if you notice, we have our Xerneas, which will help us accelerate energy, but also we have Max Elixir too, just because maybe we don't start with Xerneas. Or maybe, if we don't start with it, we want another way to accelerate energy onto the field, and also in the late game too. We don't really want to use Geomancy anymore, so to have the option to Max Elixir instead of having to waste a turn using Geomancy later on can be really nice. So it's just an alternate way to accelerate energy onto our field. So 3 Gardevoir Spirit Link, just to prevent our turn from ending whenever we Mega Evolve. And then for the last trainer card, we're running 4 Fairy Garden. So each Pokemon that has Fairy Energy attached to it has no retreat cost. So we play only Fairy Energy in this deck, so we need a way to free retreat and preserve all the energy that we have on our field. And then just rounding out the list, we have 12 Fairy Energy, just a solid count. It should be enough to where we can always get one off max elixir for the most part. Yeah, guys, that's going to be the list. This is a very straightforward deck. I would actually say if you're a new player or wanting to teach somebody the game, I think this is actually a good solid deck to give them. It's very straightforward, has a very linear strategy, but it's still decently competitive. I think it does struggle against Mega Rayquaza and Mega Scizor, but other than that, I think your matchups are pretty decent with this thing. So definitely a fun deck, and I love Xerneas Break and Gardevoir, so I definitely wanted to try to build this and see if we can make this work. But yeah, guys, I'm going to switch over to the battle portion of the video. That way you can see how it looks in action, okay? Alright, guys, looks like we found ourselves a match here. I'm just calling the coin flip, which we do win, which is always nice. And we do start with Xerneas, so that's really good as well. We have an Ultra Ball, so that means we can probably grab ourselves a Hoopa or a Shaman or something like that. So yeah, definitely looks like we'll have ourselves a good first turn here. So definitely want an Ultra Ball, probably grab ourselves a Hoopa EX. Looks like I'm debating what to get rid of. Just going to get rid of that other Ultra Ball. Not really a need for it since Hoopa lets us grab pretty much everything we need. Here is taking a look through the deck, seeing what's prized and seeing what we have in the deck so we can grab that Hoopa. Probably grab ourselves 2 Gardevoir and a Shaman, if I had to guess. We could potentially grab a Mega since we have the Spirit Link, but just opting to grab the second Gardevoir. That way we can draw more cards with Shaman. So I'm debating on where to attach. I think it's fine to attach to Gardevoir since we can't attack with Xerneas this turn. Okay, and here looks like we're just going to do a Hex Maniac. Prevent our opponent from playing their own Hoopa or Shaman or something like that to help them set up on the first turn. So what do we have here? It looks like, okay, a Kyogre EX. So it looks like we're playing against some sort of water deck. So we see Glaceon. So that probably means we're also going to see like a Manphy EX. They might play Regice as well. Looks like some sort of water toolbox deck. So Glaceon could actually be kind of a pain, to be honest, since both of our main attackers, Xerneas Break and Gardevoir, or Mega Gardevoir EX, are evolution cards, and Glaceon does prevent damage done to it by that. But luckily, it looks like he's opting to power up this Shaman and this Kyogre EX, so I have no complaints with that whatsoever. We're just going to attach, evolve, and play in. So we're having, it looks like a decent setup. We will be able to Geomancy this turn as well. Here I'm just debating on what to get. It looks like we're just going to grab Max Elixir since we don't need to retreat this turn. So here we get a Fairy Energy, attach it to our other Gardevoir EX. We do whiff the second Max Elixir, but it's okay. We can still use Geomancy and attach 2 Fairy Energies to our Gardevoir. So if he does start to power up this Glaceon, we still do luckily have the regular Xerneas to attack with. So I think we do have answers for most of his stuff. And here we see Regice come down, which I'm not too worried about just because we have Xerneas Break that we can knock it out with if need be. That's one thing I do like about this deck. You don't really need to run Pokemon Ranger just because you have so many different types of attackers, EXs, evolution cards, non-EXs. So that is one thing I do like about this deck. Here we're going to get End, which looks like our hand will be pretty workable. And let's see, what does our opponent opt to do here? Looks like he's going to attack with Kyogre EX doing Water Pulse and puts us to sleep, but we do wake up luckily. Okay, so let's see, what's the game plan for this turn? If we can get a Mega Gardevoir, we might be able to actually knock out this Kyogre EX, since it has 180 hit points. And if we get that Mega Gardevoir, we should have enough energy on the board to actually get a knockout here. Here we're just going to opt to go for the Sycamore, try to dig deep for the Mega Gardevoir, but unfortunately we don't get the right one that we're looking for. But here we do have a Max Elixir potentially. Maybe try to get some more energy on the field. But luckily, I'm actually content with just doing Geomancy again. I mean, we could attack with Gardevoir, but I'd rather just Geomancy, and if he's going to do damage to us, it'll only be to a non-EX attacker like Xerneas, as opposed to one of our EXs. So I'm fine just being kind of defensive here, and sitting back and just using Geomancy and powering up everything on our field. And here we're just attaching to the Hoopa just to kind of spread our energy around, because that is one downfall of this deck. If they do take out one of our Pokemon that has all of our energy on it, it definitely weakens Gardevoir's damage output. So if he does get a Primal Kyogre EX, he can potentially take a knockout here. We're just going to see an N, which, again, I'm okay with. Maybe we can draw into our Mega Gardevoir. So no Mega Gardevoir yet, but we do have a Fairy Garden, and we do have Versus Seeker, so we will be able to play a supporter. And hopefully draw into our attacker finally. And luckily we do wake up yet again from Water Pulse. But here we top deck the Mega Gardevoir. That is just what we were looking for. And we have the Stadium in hand. That way we can just retreat. Okay, here it looks like evolving into the Break. Again, probably going to just retreat into this Mega. And we do have Versus Seeker, so we could potentially... I mean, we really don't need anything else. We could potentially just Hex and kind of take a Shaman option away from them. But it looks like we're just going for the end. Maybe to try to draw into a Lysander for next turn, which we actually do draw. Just in case he tries to promote Regice or something like that. So we'll do, it's like just discarding some resources we don't need. So that seems fine to me. And not going to grab anything there. Probably should have, just in retrospect, to thin the deck out, but not a huge deal. But here we're going to use Brilliant Arrow for a whopping 270, which is pretty crazy. So taking the extra turn or so, just a Geomancy, set up our board even more, pretty much ensures that we can knock out everything on our opponent's field. You know, if he's able to maybe Lysander up a Xerneas Break or something he can easily knock out, he can maybe take away some of the energy and reduce our damage output. Again, it looks like he's just going for the Primal Kyogre, which again, I am completely fine with. That way we don't have to deal with Glaceon EX. That's definitely the biggest threat to this deck. But here he's going to do Parallel City, which again, I'm pretty much fine with. That way we can get rid of Hoopa and Shaman. Did have to get rid of an energy that was on the Hoopa, but nevertheless, it's better to discard Hoopa as opposed to one of our attackers. He's going to do Escape Rope, and I'm actually completely okay with that as well. Here's Primal Kyogre, and we can put up the Xerneas Break with one energy and let it get knocked out, or we can promote the other Gardevoir EX, which I actually like here. I think that is the right way to go. Because now Primal Kyogre is not able to knock it out, which will mean that we can keep some of our energy on the field. Whereas if we promoted Xerneas, we would lose another energy. So he's doing 130 to us, which again, I'm okay with. That way we keep our energy. We just have to draw into a Fairy Garden. That's the big thing we need. Here, okay, we actually get the Fairy Garden off the Trainer's Mail. That's really good. So we can bump that Parallel City and retreat back into our Mega Gardevoir to take another knockout here. It looks like I'm debating on an Ultra Ball. I mean, I can. I guess that's fine. So I'm just debating what order I want to do everything. So we could Ultra Ball and get down another basic and use Max Elixir on it, which I guess that's okay. So get rid of the Mega Gardevoir. Here we're going to do Max Elixir. And to be honest, I think maybe I should have just hung on to the Lysander, but maybe just because we're going to take a knockout on Primal Kyogre this turn, and leaving us with the Lysander in hand would have meant that we were guaranteed the knockout next turn, but luckily this worked out too, just because we have barely any cards left in our deck at this point, so we're pretty much guaranteed to draw into whatever we need. Even if we get End, we have a good chance of drawing what we need. And we get another Versus Seeker, so even if he ends us, we have one more chance of drawing what we need. So what is our opponent going to do? It looks like he is about to power up this Glaceon. If he can attack with Glaceon and end us down to 2 cards, prevent us from getting the Lysander, that would be actually pretty big here. So does he have it? That's the big question. Versus Seeker, and he is going to end us. So our opponent is definitely doing the right thing here, trying to take away our options from getting a knockout. But here it looks like we do draw the Lysander for game. I don't think there's any way we can, or he can prevent us from taking a knockout on one of his EXs next turn. So he's going to do Crystal Ray. It does prevent damage from Gardevoir and our Xerneas Break, but luckily, like I said, we can just Lysander up that Shaman or a Manaphy. Looks like we're going for the Shaman, and we can do Brilliant Arrow for the knockout. So this one Mega Gardevoir went the entire distance. So you can see if you flood enough energy on the board with Mega Gardevoir, you can kind of just steamroll your opponent. Downside is it does take a couple turns to actually set up, and Mega Rayquaza and Mega Sizer are both very difficult matchups for this deck. But nevertheless, it's still a fun deck, and hope you guys enjoyed the video. But yeah, as usual, feel free to like and subscribe, guys, and don't forget to check out our merch over at rarecandytcg.com. Pick yourself up a playmat or a shirt or something, help support the channel. It means a lot to us. But with that, I appreciate you watching, and we will see you for the next one, okay?